this preconception that if you text someone instantly back, then like you're someone who is always available, right? So then you need to like wait for a couple hours or wait for a day. So then you show that you're like not interested, but also interested. Like there's lots of different like mind games that you can go with this texting.
That is not only teenagers, Bosco. That's like across the age, rather you're 17 or 67.
If everyone is wearing this mask and playing this game, then you're kind of pressured to play this game, right?
No, I think that is where, and a lot of the time we think, oh, we want a financial stability, right? But then we choose to focus on the fear and not the love, and therefore it creates that negative impact.
The only thing right now that would change me from feeling scared and anxious is myself, is my ability to say.
Today we have a very special guest here, Matt Turley, who is the narrator for Ryan's book, Awaken Purpose. So Matt, why don't we just get started with a light introduction about yourself?
Great. Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I met Ryan in a coaching certification course that we took together. And when I learned that he had a book, I reached out to him and kind of half jokingly suggested that I could be the narrator for it. It's the first time I've narrated an audiobook, and it was a great experience. And I'm really fortunate that it was Ryan's book that I got to do for my first narration, because it really resonated with me. And I use the things I've learned and read in Ryan's book on a daily basis.
Cool. Yeah, Ryan, just tell me more. Like when you've, heard Matt saying that he wants to narrate your book, like how did you feel about that?
No, I was very excited because I definitely audiobook was one of the next step that I wanted to do after I published my book in the physical form and in Kindle form. But I was like, I was nervous. I was like, wow, if I have to narrate myself, it will be hard, like, because English wasn't my first language. And I have some doubts. Like, actually, I did have some doubts. So then when Matt, reached out, I was like, yes, that's great, because one, we in the same class for over a year, and we felt like we know each other very well, and I know the contents that he would resonate quite a bit. So I just went with it. Sometimes, and I in different episodes, I always like tell people that we just go with the flow. There is opportunities that come up, and it's up to us to decide about what we do with it. Is a choice. So I definitely grabbed that opportunities.
Yeah. Super cool to have all three of us here on the podcast. And I remember when I first read Ryan's book, it was transformational in a way where, I never really read a book which consolidated like the thoughts that I had, because I knew that there was something called awakening. I knew that there was like something greater than just the mundane life. And Ryan's book really resonated with me in a way where like every single chapter, it was like a really nice synthesis of everything, because I've been like watching a lot of videos on different topics. So Matt, could you tell me more about like what was the transformation from like before reading the book and after?
Sure. I agree with you. The book really kind of synthesizes a lot of things that I had come to on my own before reading the book, in different ways from different sources, over my decades on Earth, trying to find pursuing different ways to awaken myself or find my purpose. And the book really captures a lot of different approaches, different perspectives, that are all fairly aligned and consistent in the message and the teachings. And since I started the book, which I think we started about a year ago, and I read the book, and I read it in narrating it. I probably read the book 20 times in total, because doing many chapters over and over again. And that was really a great exercise, because it really helped me to, sometimes you read a book and then you remember some of it, but if you don't reread it, it's like watching a movie or something. You forget a lot of what you experienced. And it really kind of resonated after reading it many times, And as I mentioned, some of the things I use on a regular basis have really helped me. It really helped to bring together what was probably a lot of disaggregated ideas and concepts that I had learned about and experienced myself over time. Really bring them all together in a way that felt good, felt consistent. And I'm able to tap into different parts of messages in the book as needed for different experiences or different situations in life.
Yeah, awesome. So what was one principle which really stuck with you, from narrating all of these chapters?
Yeah, the 1 and 0 method was really helpful, and that's where you evaluate things that you believe or feel, and you assign a 0 to them if they don't really serve a purpose, and a 1 if they still serve a purpose, if they're useful. And I found that this is a really useful method. It's really simple, which is helpful. It's very quick and easy to do, and it's useful on any time scale. So, for example, if I have a thought, a momentary, immediate thought in a situation where it's causing me anxiety or fear or something, I can immediately say, is this useful? Is this helpful? If it is, then okay, I'll pay attention to it. If it's not, then I'm going to disregard it and let it go. And you can do that over a lifetime as well. Like my age, older than two of you, there are habits or beliefs or experiences that I still retain, and sometimes I have to stop and say, okay, I've felt this way since I was younger, much younger in some cases. Is this still useful or helpful? If not, then I'm going to shed it. I'm going to let it go. And it's all about energy for me, as Ryan is, a guru in that. It's all about energy, and the energy is, what energy do you want to have? What energy do you want to receive? What energy do you want to bring to the world and to the people you meet? And for me, it's really about cultivating the energy, to cultivating the mindful, loving energy, and instead of destructive, hurtful energy. It's really useful.
Yeah. I think it's really cool how there's different ages here. I'm 17, Ryan's 47. How old are you, Matt? Don't mind sharing.
61.
6. Oh, yeah.
61.
So we have a really,
Yeah.
really wide range of age here.
Right.
We can share like different intergenerational wisdoms. Always nice. And yeah,
Right.
like one thing with teenagers nowadays is, as you've said, like we face a lot of anxiety,
Right.
especially when we're pressured to just not take a break, because when we take a break we feel guilty to take a break, right? We can't stop doing things, and the main reason is because of social media and like so many things out there pushing us, right? No matter if it's our parents or if it's the pressure to just create crazy things, because with the internet nowadays there's so many people, like you can see those teenagers like on LinkedIn creating crazy startups, and then you feel like you're missing out, right? Because you're not maximizing
Mm-hmm.
your teenage years and getting financial freedom and things like that. So yeah, just like applying Ryan's framework on the ARAE. So just being aware first of the pressure and then reprogramming it. Let's actually run through this framework right now, Ryan, together.
Yeah. You want me to run through it, or you want to apply it in your situation?
We could do it. We could do it together. Um, let's start with the A. So awareness. We could do one letter each, and then we could like take turns going around. That'll be super fun, and then we could add on to
Okay.
each other as well. Yeah. So
Yeah.
awareness. I'm aware that I'm facing lots of pressure. So then I have the feeling of constantly being rushed. And I'm also aware that anxiety is coming up. And sometimes this is leading to sleep disorders. And it also leads to irrational choices, because at times when I'm like unintentionally trying to do something, it doesn't put like 100% effort into it. And what else? Yeah, there's also awareness on how other people are impacted because of my irrational decisions, because this anxiety basically fuels me to make comparisons with others. So then I'm unable to fully open myself to others and be vulnerable, because I have to always wear a mask every day. So then if we try to reprogram that.
So let's stay on the awareness for a bit here, Bosco. I hear a lot of the words that more like the doing and like how other people feel, right? And what's the situation. So you're describing how you feel. You're aware how it is. Haven't really heard how much you're aware of your feeling. How does all this make you feel?
Tired. I think that's a really good word. It makes you feel tired, even though on the outside it drives lots of action, but then it makes me do a lot of irrelevant stuff, like especially mental fatigue. I think that's a huge one.
So mental fatigue, tired, is like a physical tired or a different type of tired?
It's like a mix of both, because it doesn't align. Like when you think of something mentally, but then your body doesn't follow it, because you start to feel like something's off, but then your brain is having this fear, so then you still want to continue pursuing it. And that kind of
So misaligned. That's a very important point. And most people like if when we start to aware, right, alignment is one of the big things, right? Like we always see why we have stress and burned out is because our mind and our heart and our action are fully misaligned. Well, we think one thing, our heart feel one thing, and we do the third thing, isn't it? And that is one of a really good telltale sign that when we misalign between our mind, heart, and actions, that will this misalignment will create um, uh, stress, right, and create everything that is negative in our energy field. So misalignment, right? Tired. Emotionally, how does it make you feel?
unstable, because it's like our moods fluctuate a lot all the time. Like at one point you can be super excited, but in another point you start to feel like depressed, shameful, guilty of something. So it's really unstable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very good. So, on awareness, like on the aware part of the framework, usually it's take the longest. And I would encourage people to take time to do the awareness. It's not just like 5 minutes, come up with a reason, and then move on to the next step. Sometimes it takes days, and sometimes it might come back because the awareness part is almost like a research, like exercise to research what's going on. But it's not just through your mind and ego to try to figure it out what's all the external factors, which you just did, Bosco, right? But the internal factors usually comes up in a slower way. And that's when like if we like always being busy, always want to get things done, which is how like the society mold us to do, then we miss a lot of the information inside us, right? So that awareness takes more time, and it go deeper, and that is why we say breathing exercise, meditation, some sort of exercise that kind of calm ourselves in order to find that takes time. So that is the awareness part, the longest of the four, and it needs to go deeper. So treat it like a research exercise.
Yeah, I find journaling helps.
Yes, especially you're journaling without thinking. So we call that auto writing. Have you heard of that term?
No,
So auto writing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like autopilot. So then you just dump all your thoughts into like the journal, no matter how crazy it is, and you just don't stop.
No, you don't have to write. You don't have to think of the grammatically correct, right? No sentence structure. Just keep writing without thinking. That auto writing, it really brings in how you feel, like, because it actually then it's come from the heart. It's come from intuition.
Mm-hmm. But I can imagine how hard it will be. Like, you know how we always try to like correct those grammar mistakes all the time because we're
Yeah.
trained academically. Yeah, Matt, you're nodding your head.
Yeah. Yeah. So that journal is only for you yourself to. It's not only for yourself to read, but it's like for your spirit, for your soul to express. So it's a different way. So it's not, bring it into the English class.
Right.
Yeah, Matt, do you have any like specific practices that you like to do yourself?
With respect to the ARAE framework, or in
Or
general?
just in general, like with like increasing awareness?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about some of the other things that I read and learned about in Ryan's book. So one of them is to really kind of be present, right? And to trust yourself, trust the universe, and there's a certain amount of course, in all of us, of remembering, reminiscing, and there's a certain amount of planning and anticipating and fearing or expecting. Um, and in the moment, being present in the moment is really, it sounds like, it's trite. People say it all the time. But it's in those times when, if you really focus on being aware of what's around you, the colors, the sounds, the temperature, how certain things feel, or when you walk, or when you observe something, what comes up for you physically, emotionally, and really spending time with that. And in meditation, we learn a lot about how to really interact with the world in general. So if you meditate and you get practiced at being able to recognize when something's coming in, something's coming up for you that's making you anxious or physically uncomfortable or something, you can recognize it, stop, and be aware, become aware of it, say, wow, oh, okay, something's affecting me right now. What is that? Maybe I need to stop and listen with my heart or with my physical being and let it talk to me. And then you can, those are times when you become more receptive to what's happening in the world, what's happening in the universe, where the energy is. And that really helps develop your physical nature, your somatic sensibility. That was another thing in the book as well. I tend to be in my head a lot. I tend to process most of the world through my thinking, my logic brain. And in the book really kind of talks about how to lead with your heart, how to lead with love, and how to embrace your physical sensibility, which is something that we learned in our coaching certification course as well. And that's really helpful for me because, you got your intuition, like anything else. If you listen to it, if you embrace it, if you work with it, practice it, then you get better at it and you make better decisions, and you don't have to second guess yourself or judge yourself or shame yourself as much, because you're more comfortable in real time responding in a way that is going to be mindful and wise and healthy and with the right type of energy.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
Matt. One thing I want to just add on, a couple comments that you mentioned, and it's just going to give everyone more context.
Sure.
Why heart is important, and when we think about it, our mind and our brain, you kind of think of it, the mind is to control our ego self, which is good with execution, which is good with getting things done, but it's not good with making strategy and making big decisions. right? And our brain is actually very narrow in terms of focus. You can only see what is in front of us. So it's kind of like at the bottom of the mountain, in the base camp of a mountain. Where the heart, which we seldom use and we never really taught to use it correctly, our heart actually is the brain for our soul, if you know, like think of it that way. And the heart actually have a much bigger energetic field, like magnetic field, that is resonate with the entire Earth and the universe. So the heart actually do the strategy much better. So you think of the heart intelligence is sitting at the top of the mountain, and our brain is sitting at the base camp. So that's kind of like the visual that I share with people, or that why we want to cultivate our heart intelligence and use our heart to make big decisions and use our brain to execute the big decision that the heart made, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you guys have any examples of like big decisions that you guys made where like meditation and using your heart really like transformed or really gave you like the intuition? I mean, considering that you guys have way more life experience than me.
Yeah, well, I definitely have a lot, but I would love to share one client experience on this. So when I was coaching her, and this person from China and moved to Japan for work, right? And but the work didn't like go. It's not what she expected. It's like both culturally in a country and the work itself, right? And it was, but because like she's in the climbing the corporate ladder, like per se, or like like working really well, like I'm doing a good job, I want to keep continue, right? So the brain is driving the decision of like, hey, I must work this out, right? I moved here, I must get this right, otherwise I would be a failure, isn't it? Like many of us would think. And then as we start going through the sessions and asking her, thinking back to the heart, right? And they start to realize there is what we talk about, the mind think one thing. I really want to succeed in this job because I committed to it, right? The heart say, I really don't feel right about this. I don't feel right in the country. I don't feel right with the team. Something is missing, right? But the action, and then it's like, but I will just do it. Like it's not even to the point. The action is not even following the mind that I want to succeed. It's like because the action is just like I just need to survive. Like I just one day at a time. Like the mind say I want to succeed. The heart say I actually don't belong here. Like so, it's like completely three different situation until that when we collapse the mind back into the heart, and then she's like, oh wait, yeah, actually, so this person start to admit that what her heart truly feel, and what's the magic things happen is when her heart truly feel it and she express it with her language, then the situation kind of move around in a way that she didn't have to do anything. So what happened, it ends up that she actually um the company gave her a choice, rather she wants to leave, right, or stay in the country. But if she leaves, she actually get extra money to leave, right? So it's like, that's great. So she get the extra money, she leaves, she move back, and then when she go back to where she and then she found another job which now she love, right? And recently when I speak to her, she was actually so happy with her new job, with her new life, right? And have a really clear direction how she can be actually retire in 5 years before she's even hit 40 years old, right? And then know what to do next. So that for me is a great success story on how to acknowledge, right, the misalignment between mind, heart, and actions, and then bringing everything back to the heart, express it exactly how you want it, and what really happened. And then you don't even have to do it. Much of the environment start to move according to her heart resonance or according to her heart intelligence. So I really like that story of my client.
Yeah, I'd like to share something too that's related. The mind tends to create narratives that then can cause emotions, right? So, if you're nervous, and I can speak from experience, I've been looking for a new job here for a while, and this book came along at a good time because it's been very difficult in many ways in this environment, and some of the things that I've learned from Awakened Purpose have really helped me get through it in a way that's more kind of healthy and loving. And so the mind creates narratives like fear, and it says, "Wow, this really bad things could happen. Something bad could happen if you don't get lucky, or this other thing doesn't happen. You don't make this work." And so it generates anxiety in emotions, and that also can then result in physical problems. So here's the energy where your mind is creating something that's kind of a negative energy that then creates an emotion that makes you feel worse than you need to, and then you physically become affected by that as well. And so I've learned the ability to recognize that and pivot from there, and as Ryan says in the book, to learn to make decisions and live from a place of love instead of fear. And so, you rationalize it, you think about what the mind's telling you, what is this narrative? And like, to use Ryan's analogy, that's the narrative from the base camp. The base camp can't see everything that we can see with our heart. So I kind of take that in and say, yes, that's really scary. If those things happen, that would be really bad. I recognize that, and I'm doing everything I can to prevent that outcome and to ensure hopefully a more positive outcome. And so I'm doing what I can. And the only thing right now that would change me from feeling scared and anxious is myself, is my ability to say, okay, I'm going to feel comfortable and confident that things will work out, that the universe will provide for me. And then if bad things happen, I'll be able to respond at the time. But I don't need to determine how I would respond to every bad thing that might happen right now, because that's a lot of wasted energy. It's like you said that Bosco, that if you have a lot of stress and anxiety, it's exhausting, right? It's depleting. And so instead, I want to nourish myself. I want to be optimistic and operate from a place of love. And I found in many situations where there were times when I had very hard time sleeping, I would wake up restless and anxious and scared. And then I would just say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to let that go. And I'm going to assume that things will work out and enjoy what I have, live from, abundance, enjoy the abundance I have, and not dwell on the scarcity or the fear and the anxiety. And it's all in here. There's no external force that changed how I process things. It was all just the ability to, I guess, reprogram and accept it and evolve from there, to use the ARAE framework.
In the reprogramming thing, one thing I want to add to this is actually a lot of it's quite paradoxical. Why I said that, right? Fear, like, what both of you mentioned, the fear of a lot of it's like missing out, like the fear, the anxiety comes in, right? The opposite of it, right, in which I also mentioned in the book, is because we love certain things so much, that is why the fear comes about. And a lot of the time, we think we love, like, we want a financial stability, but behind it, because We love certain things. We love our own life. We love ourselves. We love our family. We want to provide, right? We love our parents. We don't want to disappoint them, right? And that's the love that causing that fear, right? But then we choose to focus on the fear and not the love, and therefore it creates that negative impact. So one of the reframing, it is about focusing on the opposite of whatever negative emotion there is. Every time, whatever that's negative, there is a positive that it come with it. That is just the law of the universe, right? There is the cause and effect, and there is always the both side. It's our choice to decide which side of the coin we want to focus on. So if we focus on is the love of our family, is the love of self, and is the love of our parents, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, so from this love, what can I do? What else can I do? Then we start to reframe into like many different other creative options, and not stuck on one way of doing things. And the other paradoxical thought, and when Matt mentioned about like confidence, and I always jokingly say that when someone say I am lack of confidence, and then I would challenge them and say, but you are very confident about that you lack of confidence. So you are very confident about something, obviously. So the confidence is there. It's just like what your confidence to, what are you focused on? So that's the paradox in life, in everything. That actually, if you start to aware, everything has the opposite side, and everything is a paradox that you can always reframe.
Yeah, it's about the manifestation. So if you visualize something positive, then you automatically attract it into our lives, and with the visioning. And like one very common thing that we're always told, like especially in like the Chinese culture, there's something called 先苦后甜. So
Yeah,
先苦后甜. So in English, it is pain first and then joy. And I think this is definitely one factor that has been keeping a lot of teenagers and a lot of young people to just keep going on the grind, right? We're not
Yeah.
supposed to be enjoying the journey because the destination is the final point. Like that's where we're going to get the reward. But then we really need to shift that mindset because it's more about the journey itself. We got to enjoy doing what we actually do, and then afterwards, like the destination is just a bonus. It's like a cherry on the cake.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Right. That saying, the pain, no gain, pain has to come first. And all those I think it came from somewhere, right? It came from
Mhm.
our lineage, right? Our ancestors and everything that we went through as human species, right? But it was all trauma based that lead to where we are today. Is installed in our body, in our DNA, right? But that actually not the natural how energy works, right? Energy is just like it go with the flow. It doesn't go with the blockage, right? If we understand energy, if you block the energy, it doesn't work. Period. It must go with the flow. So the no pain, no gain is in a world that we understand. If we are a physical, it only is in a physical form. That was how we were how we understand the world. But as we now evolve into higher consciousness, right, have better understanding of who we are, remembering of who we are, that we are both a physical and an energetic being, then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, if I am actually energy, and energy make a big difference, it must flow, then the no pain, no gain actually doesn't it work against the flow.
I think with this energy field, there's definitely going to be more research and more studies on this topic because right now, like we're all so physically manifesting things like with science in general.
Yeah, I think the we have to catch up, right? Because even back then, right, Nikola Tesla, right, have already
Mm.
said that long time ago, right? Or if we want to understand life, we want to understand everything is from vibration, is from frequency. So and I think quantum physics really helps us to see the the quantum essence of us, that how there is the non-physical things that is going on. And so I think it's just a matter of us catching up and learn. And how do we learn? There's a lot of information out there. And I think that rather on waiting for another prominent person talk about something, with AI, that's one thing I love about AI. Go do research, use AI, right? Go use internet, just do research on understanding what is quantum means to you, right? What is energy, and how does us related, how does a human related to the quantum physics? How does all being and how physics will evolve? And in fact, actually, once we understand the true nature of quantum, physics as a subject, as an academic subject, become obsolete in a way, because the physics does not really, the traditional, right, the conventional physics does not really accept quantum, the side of the world. So, and there is so much debate around it, and there is also so much, because the system kind of have to protect themselves, and they would say, well, no, there's like what we can do, what can we not do, what should we believe, what we do. Like, so my suggestion is always do your own research, be your own scientist. Now the tool is available for us to do all this on our own. So be curious.
Yeah. And speaking more about like sounds in general, Matt, I know that you're a drummer, and Ryan, I also know that your wife does like sound bowl, and I personally like play the piano. And it seems like sound plays like a huge role in our lives. Like, is there something to do with like the essence of the sound?
Yeah, yeah. Sound, actually, we like what my wife is doing with sound healing, and like we actually call it almost a sound medicine. But medicine, not in treating your flu, right, or like those type of medicine, but it's an energetic medicine. Is sound creates a certain vibration, and each vibration, it resonate. Like I was telling you, our heart have a resonance with the earth frequency. There is a electromagnetic field, and each sound, like different frequency and different vibration, it also have resonance with our body, and it help us to unblock the energy within our body. Like there's a lot of stuck energy. So, and it's similar when you go to traditional Chinese medicine, right? They do acupuncture, right? And acupuncture go into your meridian. It's kind of the similar, like they unblock the energy. So in Eastern philosophy and traditional Chinese medicine, I think like people grew up in Asia. Most of us, we understand energy in general, because like this is part of our like deep culture, right? And sound also is doing the same thing. Like it's like when you play piano and when you go into an orchestra. I love classical music, right? And you go into orchestra, that vibration. And I think like Matt, you're a drummer, you're in a band yourself, right? So we are all like in somewhat like music and sound definitely like make us feel something, right? Um, and but then it can both make us feel good, unblock, and also it can make us feel anxious, make us feel like or brainwashing, like jingle, like commercial jingle. Is a very interesting way to play with sound, to make sure that we remember certain things, that the jingle comes up and then I'm gonna go to this supermarket and grocery store to buy stuff. Um, so music and sound definitely make a big difference. But if we are not aware and if we're not conscious, then those sound is just kind of like in our background and actually could manipulate us. But when we become aware, then sound is a beautiful medicine to help us emotionally. And my wife and we fully prescribe and subscribe to sound, because my wife herself, she went through a lot of them childhood trauma, which actually finally fully released because of sound healing. So yeah, so we like it's definitely a important part of our lives, but not saying that sound can fix everything, but it definitely help with rebalancing our emotion, right? To create a better flow in our energy, which is more to your point, Bosco, more like science required to continue to validate. But I also say science is 2,000 years like a lack in terms of understanding a lot of the things that is happening holistically.
Yeah. That's a very interesting point that you bring up, because a lot of the times, like, you can see people when you're walking around the street, they're plugged in to their phone and they're like wearing an AirPod. And I would say like 90% of them, if they're not in a meeting, then they're listening to music. And a lot of the times they background all of the music. So to a certain extent, that really isn't doing anything, but it's just programming you to feel what the music is. Because I know a lot of people
Hmm.
who listen to like unhappy music, like, those like sad songs, because their lives aren't feeling too good, and then they don't have anyone to talk to, and just makes them comfortable to a certain extent. So it's really about how you use a sound, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is there two different types of sound? Like, one is more like pure sound, and then the other one is sounds that are artificial.
Yes, yes, yes. Like actually, it is. There is artificial sound, especially the commercial jingle. Is like the people who study sound, who study frequency, understand what type of frequency and jingle and hertz behind the scene that actually can brainwash us, right? But for laymen that we are not a sound expert, we wouldn't know, right? So the only way is going back to the heart. They will truly feel that how does that music make me feel, right? Sometimes maybe it's neutral and that's okay. Um, Listening to a sad song is not a problem by itself if we know what to do with our sadness. Sadness and all emotion is information for us to tell us that, oh, there is something blocked in us, there is a blockage, and there is something that needs to be released, whatever that is. Then the sadness comes up, and we go through the sadness. We can then understand. We can say, okay, I know this sadness. I don't know why, but I would nurture this feeling. And as I nurture this feeling, I say, I see you. I'm not going to push you away. And you keep nurturing it, and eventually the feeling itself is say, okay, thank you for nurturing me. I am okay to leave my body. I'm okay to be released, right? And that is one part of the reprogramming that we talk about, like in my book as well, is this reprogramming. But if we just listen to a sad song and continue to spiral down, and when almost addicted to this sad feeling and don't want to get out of it, then become like a drug, right? So sound is important, but more important is consciously how are we using that sound? How does consciously knowing how that sound, how that music make us feel, and what do we do with that feeling?
Yeah, I am very musical. I would say, or I'd say, music is a big part of my life. I've been singing since I was a little boy, and I started playing the drums in my 40s. And so now I play with a rock band. Probably we perform about once a month, and we practice frequently. And it was, for me, it's just really joyful, and it's a great release. It's a helpful way to process my emotions, to sing and to play the drums. Certainly playing the drums is also a physical activity that lets me, release some energy. And as Ryan said, make sure the energy isn't stopping, right? You go down and bang on drums for an hour, you feel differently. And when we perform, that's a whole other level of, I guess, reward or energy, because the audience just really appreciates live music. And there's a heightened amount of energy flow in a room where the band's playing and people are dancing and they're singing along. Really kind of lifts up all spirits in a way where whatever any individual came to that event with, whatever burdens they had, emotional or physical burdens, can be temporarily supported and, delayed or set aside because of the music. And as a kind of collective, we're all in this together, regardless of age or political background or race or religion. People are dancing and enjoying the music, and it's really rewarding for me to be on stage to recognize I'm having as much fun as anybody in here, and I'm able to help all these people enjoy themselves and feel better about life and themselves for a brief period of time. So it's really powerful. And I don't know as much. I'm learning about the vibrations and, from a scientific perspective, how that also works with our energy flow, and how certain chords in music, certain chords like major chords, imbue kind of a more uplifting, positive, expansive feeling. And certain chords like minor chords, they say, and you might know this, Bosco, from playing the keys, they kind of give you a little bit more of a darker or a more subdued kind of feeling. And so, some songs are purposefully written that way, where if the lyrics are, if it's a sad song or if it's about something that was painful, it might be written in minor chords. And so you're not just hearing it, processing it cognitively, what the lyrics are telling you, but your body is sensing that and picking up on that as well. And it aligns, and it helps you feel whatever the artist was trying to convey. It's really powerful communication.
Yeah, and I think, Matt, one thing you mentioned, that the release, at least like temporary in the concert, and I think actually it can be more than that. It could be permanently released, right? Especially if the artist set that intention. It's like every jump, every beat, I am releasing, all my audience with this emotion. That intention is very positive, and it go through energetically.
Yeah.
And I think that, like what you guys do in live concert, right, is like so much love to give out, and really trust that is not a temporary fix. That is a permanent release. The people truly feel good. Like it actually rewrite their baseline.
I agree. It's like musical or auditory acupuncture.
Yes, exactly. So rather is piano, like rather is classical music, rather is sound healing, right? They all have those type of elements. But it's really important is about the intention of the artist, right? What is um the fundamental, what the artist wants to, share, right? Is it share from the heart, right? And as long as sharing from the heart, right, those will be good, right? If it's fully commercialized, I write this song because I know if I hit this 5 rhythm and then it will be commercialized, everyone likes it. That is commercialized music that might not have the right intention. Those intention is to just get popularity. But once we listen with our heart, we can tell which song, like what artist is come from the heart. Like they really want to heal the world, right? Like Michael Jackson is one of like a very good example. Yeah, he truly want to hear the word, you can hear it from the song, right? So that would be like, it doesn't matter whether it's pop music or not, but like what the artist meant. So there's a lot of reframing that we talk about, like in a different sense, right, Bosco? But then it actually it all kind of go fit into the framework. It's just like, how do we reframe our thinking? How do we see the world differently and clearly and consciously? Then by flowing through that, then every actions that we take become a reframing of how we feel.
Yeah. I think a really big part as well, just transitioning to another really juicy topic with teenagers, is like, especially when we're going through the puberty period, there's a lot of like romantic relationship or romantic attraction happening. And like, especially with this generation, it's more tricky because, you know, you got the online world, you got like different dating sites, even though I don't really use dating sites, and like there's social media and everything causing all these different comparisons and things like that. And then we expect that there's going to be like a specific way to attract the other gender. Like, for example, there's like specific texting times. Like, I remember I used to like to, like, there's going to be like this, what's it called? This preconception that if you text someone instantly back, then like you're someone who is always available, right? So then you need to like wait for a couple hours or wait for a day. So then you show that you're like not interested, but also interested. Like there's lots of different like mind games that you can go with this texting
That is
stuff.
not only teenagers at Bosco. That's like across the age, whether you are 17 or 67. Yeah, it's the same. It's this exactly the same. Yeah, when I was younger, there's the 3 days rule. Like, you don't call back for 3 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every generation have the same, like similar but different, slightly different technology, but same.
Yeah, these are just like interesting stuff because what I've started to learn is like just accepting who you are. Like, even though, I mean, I think there's two ways to think about it. Like, one way is like you have your own way and it will automatically like come to you because you just have to accept who you are. And the other one is like, but if everyone is wearing this mask and playing this game, then you're kind of pressured to play this game, right?
No, I think that is where most of us fell into the trap, right? And when we are not aware, and I think that is very very normal for all of us, right? Because we, the society and like culture, everything is like actually like it's a mass culture, right? Especially in Asia, is more even more, right? We must behave a certain way, right? We don't want to like let down how the parents, like we have to look good in front of the parents, makes our parents looks good, right? Certain cars, certain clothes, certain everything. Like I think you mentioned using the word mask. It's very important. We all mask up, and that lead to the mind, heart, and action misalignment. Uh, but I also think that, and I think in the past 5 years or so, and I'm really happy we are going down this path where we talk a lot more about vulnerability. We talk more about authenticity, right? And I think this too is the beginning for us to unmask ourselves, to really to be truly who we are. Because when we become truly who we are, then it's your first path, right? We attract whoever people that like really attract to our true self, and that alignment is very. I think it's the only way to live, to be. The mask version is it's not the way. It can't be the way to how we be, right? It's like asking a rose or asking a tree to be a rose, because everyone loves roses, right? And everyone doesn't like tree. So hey, all the trees that become roses from today, they can't live that way, right? So it's really the same thing. So accepting who we really are is become one of, like, I think that this era, the most important things that we have. And I think this conversation might not even need it maybe 20 years later. Problem right now is just that we are transitioning from a mask culture to an unmasked culture. Then, and teenagers, parents is still having a lot of mass influence that is like, hey, you need to do it a certain way. But the teenagers, actually, a lot of the younger generation, they know, like, the authenticity. Like, I just want to be myself. Right, so that is going on as well. That is like this transitioning going on. But seeing into the future, we know that authenticity. If I'm a tree, I'm a tree. If I'm a rose, I'm a rose. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll share with you something that I use with my coaching clients, and this is something I've learned that can apply to any age, any person, but I think it's particularly resonant and applicable for, as you mentioned, Bosco, for your audience, for teenagers, for people who are going through puberty, who are just starting to adult and experience the world for themselves. That first and foremost, to love yourself, who you are, how you are. You're enough, no matter what you or your friends or your family or other people, the haters, might think about you. You are enough. You're good enough as you are, and you are always going to be the person who knows you the best, who loves you the best, who has the greatest opportunity to take care of you, and to support you. It is yourself. And it's easy to say, it's hard to do, I know, when there's so much pressure to be different or be someone else or put on a mask. But the truth is that, the sooner we learn that, and the sooner we develop the ability for that self-love, the ability to really genuinely love ourselves, hold ourselves, respect ourselves, support ourselves, appreciate what we're experiencing and how it hurts sometimes and how scary it can be, and just kind of give yourself a hug when you need it, literally. That helps you strengthen your confidence and your resolve and your confidence in your own judgment. And then, maybe it stems the need. We all have a need for acceptance, or for a confirmation, validation from other people. But if we're good at accepting and validating ourselves, maybe we don't need as much. So we don't tend to need to put masks on, because we're seeking acceptance, and we're seeking that support externally. And so one of the things that I do, and that I recommend to others, again, at any age, is to create a playlist of love songs that you really enjoy, that really make you feel good when you sing them or hear them or listen to them, but that you think about it as singing them to yourself, or that the artist is singing them to you. And so instead of singing, feeling a love song for someone you might be hoping to date, or your partner, when you need it once in a while, listen to that love song for yourself, and give yourself a little support, give yourself a break and a hug. And then, over time, maybe you develop that ability, so you don't need it from others as much. And as you probably know, those people who project that kind of energy, that they're okay with themselves, they're not wearing a mask, they're confident, they attract the kind of people that they want to be, whom they want to be around. They attract that kind of energy from other people. Other people find them. They want to be around them because they have something, they know something that the rest of us don't, right?
I love that. I'm gonna start my playlist.
Yeah, that playlist.
The self-love playlist.
Self-love playlist, that's right.
Yeah, the other thing, like from my experience when I was young, I have fair share of dating experiences. And I would say that, if I look back now, as a 47 years old self,
Mm.
looking back, every relationship that I more so like a force, like not a force, but kind of like that I really, really want, like I really, really want to, get into this relationship that is like almost like a control that I want to control, like I almost like work too hard, like the no pain no gain, like work too hard to gain a certain one those relationship. Those are the worst relationship that I had every time. And if I think back, the best relationship in my current relationship is with my wife. It's just so natural. Nothing has like it's like when it's right, it's like nothing has to be done actually, because the energy is working correctly, right? The resonance is working correctly, right? And then so once the two person get together, even when we have disagreements, right, and when we have challenges, it's very natural that in the moment you might get angry, but by the time you go to bed, you will know that okay, we'll just work this out. Like it's part of our learning as a couple, but we will never have that resentment that I will leave this person. They will never have that. So that is like through my experiences. Every time when a relationship happen naturally, right? Then it you know when you know it. But if it's a force, if I have to put on a mask to attract someone, that always fail in the long run.
Mm.
So you can try. You can put on a mask in the social media and in a dating app. You might get some like short term gain, but
Mm.
so depending on what game you want to play.
Yeah. Another thing with like authenticity in general, like all the times when we start to like learn about these different tools, I like talking about these tools, like these, like human design, astrology, gene keys, like all of these stuff, right? There's this certain sense that it's just too true that it's speaking about us. And then to a certain point, you also start to question whether or not that's actually legit, or whether you want to like try and also escape it, right? Because you know that something is tying your own design. And
Yeah,
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 it's just something that came up, like I've been thinking about that as well. Like, why are we always trying to escape something when we know that something is real? Like, why are we always trying to prove ourselves wrong?
yeah, yeah. It's like it is. It's a lot of it is our ego mind, right? And the like go back, the heart is the brain of our soul, and the mind and the brain is the brain of our ego. Right? Ego always want to run the show because it has been. We actually have been feeding our ego for our entire lifetime and for like centuries. So ego thought, and the base camp thought, I know everything. So it never accept when something we so-called kind of slightly predetermined, slightly saying that, hey, in the human design or in the gene key, you have this trait, but you can this trait can and how you evolve from this trait, and how you can best work with your trait, right? And the ego mind and the base camp is like, this is BS. I can, create my own path. I can do this. No one can tell me what to do, isn't it? Right? So that's the ego speaking. Right? But if you actually go back to the heart and consciously study, this type of tool, she was like, oh yeah, actually, a lot of this is exactly, even though like when you know ego is like, and you just go through, the years and behavior that we have, been through. It's like, that is so true. Yes, this is my shadow. I can feel it. I can hear it. And now, So I think it's like, one is, how much do we accept and actually be clear about the aware, yes, this is my shadow, and accept them. And this is how, and this is my strength and how I can use it. So it's then we can go with the flow, which I talk about, like that energetically we go with the flow. The ego, like is the no pain no gain uh, training. It's like, no, I go against the flow because this is what I think it should do. So I don't trust all these predetermined things that is going on. So that's really what is in play.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's like your mind talking about that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think self-awareness is a very important trait to cultivate. If you're aware of yourself and how you behave, how you respond, which things in life make you happy, which things drain your energy or make you scared or anxious, which people drain your energy. That's really helpful, and you can set boundaries which are healthy. But you can also recognize, as Ryan said, your shadow. You can recognize some things that where you are maybe tempted to put on a mask. And I learned something when I was a young adult. I was an introvert. I still am an introvert, I guess, to some degree. And going to social events, I enjoyed my friends, of course, and I enjoyed the time with them, and the being away from work and just kind of having nothing to worry about. But I would get exhausted with that interaction, with that energy. Part of it was because I would be holding space for people, or I would be expressing myself in ways that I wasn't completely comfortable, or I would have to listen and be a good listener for folks while they were sharing their experiences with me, which takes a lot of energy. And I would get exhausted, and I had to learn over time that I can accept only a certain number of social events in my calendar, which is far less than extroverts and other people who actually get energy. They get recharged by interacting socially with others. I need to fill my tank in other ways, because that type of social interaction tends to drain me and empty my tank. So, it took me a long time to learn that. And it took me longer after that to establish some boundaries and recognize how to avoid putting myself in situations that were suboptimal for my own health, my own happiness.
and
Yeah,
Matt,
that's
on
very
this
interesting.
one, I have to debunk one thing that is very interesting that happened to me recently. So I was pretty much the same way, but I can be extrovert if I want to, but it's kind of like for a period of time, not too long. But so last year when I went on a Egypt trip, right, and me and my wife, we never go on a trip as a big group, right? It's always on our own, free and easy, because we are on this spiritual trip, and the only option is to with another 40 people. I fell off the chair when my wife said that we're gonna sign up for this. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be with 40 people for 17 days. No way, no way, no way. That's not possible. Like, I gotta die. Like, like both of us gonna die. Like, there's like we can hardly go out with 6 people for more than 4 hours. Like, how are we gonna deal with that? Right. And then 17 days later, we were full of energy. I was like, so again, people, I was like, huh, what just happened? We were every day we woke up like, and it's not like an easy trip. We're talking about wake up like sometimes 4 a.m. in the morning, and we end the day at like 10 p.m. and you only have 6 hours of sleep, and then the next morning you did the same thing. Again, with 40 of us, it's like, how is that possible? How are we still have energy? So we end up conclusion, like our conclusion is the following, right? First, are we with the right people? right? That's the right people with the right energy, right? And because this is a group that we like, we do healing together. We have the same spiritual journey. We grow like self development and self discovery together. So everything was very like the flow happened very like naturally. So then we realized that, and actually I came up with a conclusion that all we are introvert in the existing society because a lot of the time the energy doesn't drive with our own energy. But when we actually find your right support group, we are all extrovert.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the introvert extrovert is a label because certain of like we just like go in the wrong group or not in the wrong group, but like we are not finding the same like energy, not even like minded. It's like the right energy people. Right. So that's what my discovery that and I would challenge people like when you find your right energy group of people, you will always flow and you become naturally extrovert. And I start when I start to like freely dance in front of like 40 people, people are like, "Oh, this is a new Ryan."
Right.
Yeah. And also see with like extroverts in general, there are some extroverts where they're just extroverted in every situation, and it's because of some kind of fear. They're trying to please someone, right? They're trying to not be their own selves. That's why they're being extroverted. I think that's very
Yeah.
different from being truly extroverted in that situation versus pretending to be extroverted because there's some kind of unconscious trauma that you haven't released or some kind of shadow that's lingering
Yeah,
around.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that is very important as part of the acceptance journey, right? Find the
Yeah.
people that really accept you for who you are, as well as your soulmate, your best friends, right? That group, they will always like we always have one or two friends that you can completely like unmask and just talk about everything, right? Those are the people
Yeah.
that you will always feel that, oh, actually I can talk to this person for anything. So find those people who support the acceptance journey.
Yeah. I think that's right. To touch on what both of you said, Bosco, with people who might not be extroverts, but they're behaving like they are. That's a type of mask, right?
Yes.
And and Ryan, maybe what you're saying is when you're around people uh, with whom you don't have to put on a mask, then it's not a matter of introvert extrovert. It's not. It's the energy flow is more free. It's easier. They're easier. I call it easy company, right? If you have easy company, these are people who know you and love you, and it's okay to be. You don't have to put a mask on. It's okay to be yourself, to be vulnerable. They've seen you. They still support you and love you, and so you don't have to put a mask on. And I think it's the mask that 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 is depleting. That causes you to expend energy in a way that might be tiring or unpleasant, because you have to pretend instead of
Yeah.
just relaxing and letting your natural energy flow.
Yeah, and one thing with adults that I hope Bosco, your generation don't pick up too much is adults have a for some reason always have to be very serious. Like serious is a grow up thing. Is to man up, right? Is to be serious. And I for many years, of course, I do that. Like, well, okay, I'm gonna be serious. I'm gonna learn to golf. I want to do this, right? Like, and start to learn to drink whiskey, do a cigar, right? And all the serious thing that 007 would do to make it look cool. But and when I gone through that, but then if I really unmask myself, I'm like a little kid. I'm like a child. Like I enjoy doing fun things. I enjoy watching cartoon. Like I am the most silly person at home which I'm really grateful that my wife accepted me that way, right? But as an adult, as soon as you walk out the door, there is certain seriousness that we all have to put that mask, and I really try to unmask that part, right, and be more silly around everyone, and which I could do with like when I go on the trip, which I mentioned to you in the Egypt trip, that I feel unmasked. I can actually be myself. I can do silly stuff, and people are okay with it. And I think that is also, and I that's one thing I hope the younger generation just be the kid self that like now a lot of the like things like adults try to find their inner child, right, or heal their inner child, and I was like, why don't you just be your inner child?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so keep your inner child, keep the innocence, and just have that joy, so that you don't have to once you become 40 years old and try to find your inner child again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And Bosco, for you and your audience, your generation, you probably starting to feel a lot of pressure to, be an adult, and all that means, all the challenges and all the stress, and it means being serious, and it means stop, fooling around and figure out what you want to do with your life. And at my age now, I read a lot about people who live long, healthy lives. And certain things that they have in common that they recommend. And this is good, as Ryan said, to never stop doing these things. And that is to, of course, make sure you have a healthy, supportive social network, people who love and care for each other. And the other thing is to have fun and play, and don't lose the fun child's spirit of playfulness, and whatever it is, being silly, not always having to wear that mask of being serious and accomplished and everything else. And like Ryan said, some people have to learn later in life to get in touch with their inner child. And I love that you said just be the inner child. Don't put it in a compartment or a closet somewhere and take it out whenever you feel like you need it. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think we have the preconception of other people gonna be caring about us a lot, but then in reality, like everyone's just obsessed with themselves if you think about it. Like you can't really recall like what the other person actually did like 2 days ago, right? But in
Right.
reality, that person might be thinking, oh, what if this guy's gonna judge me this way? What if that guy's gonna judge me this way? But then no one's gonna actually remember. Like that's one of the big breakthroughs that I realized, which really made me
Yes.
be more authentic and just be yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Exactly.
That's
That's
great.
a great awareness.
Mhm.
And then so that's kind of closing the loop. Then you evolve from your awareness.
Right.
ARAE
The
framework.
ARAE. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's the evolve, the breakthrough, right? Going from the caterpillar to become a butterfly, right? That breakthrough. You can keep staying, be the caterpillar, or you transform yourself.
Awesome. Just wrapping this episode up. I really enjoyed, the past 4 episodes with you, Ryan, and this conversation with you, Matt, as well. So I just wanted to ask you, Matt, like, do you have any lingering questions that you still have that we can, talk about here really shortly before we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a specific question, but I'm curious about AI, largely because of what I learned about it with the book, narrating the book. And I'm really curious how, of course, you guys in younger generations probably will experience this, the future long after I'm, past. But really curious how AI is going to materialize in terms of this awareness and an awakened purpose that, in the book, Ryan talks about how to um, make sure that we are really self-aware, and that we're being the best people best humans we can be. Because if we're going to be programming artificial intelligence, then we'd like it to be based on the mindful, healthy, loving parts of humanity, and not the destructive, hateful other potential elements of it. And I really don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't feel strongly one way or the other that it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, it's going to be great, it's going to end civilization. But it's interesting in the book how Ryan talks to artificial intelligence, and I'm really hopeful that that we, the human race, can find ways to continue to interact with technology that we create in ways that uplift us, and that maybe give us, and certainly your generation, Bosco, a brighter future, and a future that might have a healthier planet and healthier human relations, and a more loving outcome for everybody. That's my curiosity and my wish, I guess.
That's beautiful, Matt. I think that AI is a mirror of whatever we fed into the AI already, right? So, but then it's funny that now, like, we look at it, it's like, wow, it's so scary. It has so much bias. It has so much like dangerous potential that it can learn negative things. The only difference, and like when I'm working with AI for humanity, I work with AI risk and AI safety, and when every time I read those white paper, and I realize that, and it's like, if I replace the word artificial intelligence with human, they actually have the exact same risk. The only difference is just that AI can do it 1,000 times faster than us, and that's with the dangerous things. But the bias and all the risk itself, right? It was innate in our collective consciousness. It's innate in the humanity. That is why AI created, like, that's why AI have this flaw, so we could say, right? Or this downside risk. It's no different. So, and that is why, like, when I was writing my book, it was that, like, so the only way, if AI is a mirror of us, then the only way is just need to be more of us, really truly consciously bringing love and light to the humanity. Then the AI will start to mirroring back, right? In the long run, that is really why, like, instead of, I look at the AI safety, I look at the governance, but the fundamental for me is that human has to change. Human has to wake up and to be aware what is going on, like, and how we upgrade our operating system. It's not the AI operating system, right? So then between us upgrading ourselves, and so we have more conscious people know how to use AI and how to ask AI question, and then also knowing that when AI bully us, we know because we have more acceptance of self. We are stronger. We have better foundation, right? And we can use, like, the framework and to really find who we are. Then we have double protection, right? One, we protect that how we feed AI will continue to have love, and how we protect ourselves, that when the old AI, right, the AI that's already has some flaw in it, that when we talk with AI, we also know how to deal with it. So that is kind of how my hope, and my dedicate my life to work on both side, right? To on the system side as well as on the human side, to find that winning formula, right? That for
Yeah,
humanity.
great.
Amazing. Yeah, I remember Ryan, you talked about like your vision, how you're going to be working on a couple projects here and there and related to this topic as well. So like just in general, could you share like anything to do with how we're going to help more people, more corporate individuals or just the mass population in general increase this awakening? Like, where do you see this heading towards?
Yeah. Well, there are so many ways, but for your audience and for every single person, what every single person can do, right? Because we all have a different path, a different career, and a different environment to be impactful, right? But one thing that all of us can do as human beings, right, is really to find that grounding and how do we become the light and the lighthouse for ourselves and then for other people, right? And what do I mean by that, right? To be the lighthouse for ourselves is the self-love, right? Is to reprogram ourselves into a conscious being, become the awakened being, right? And knowing that the purpose in life, actually, we haven't, like, after all this, the book is about awakened purpose, right? And you came to me early on asking me, what is purpose of my life? I have to find my purpose. The journey of finding the purpose is the purpose of our life, right? The journey of remembering who we really are. That if I am a tree, I will be a full with the most beautiful tree, the strongest tree that I will become. It's not that I am a tree and I want to become a rose, right? So to realize and accept that I am a tree and become the best tree I can be, that is the purpose in life. And when you become the best tree that you can be, because you remember that is who you are, that is worth existing, because your existence is only exists because it's worth existing. And then if you become something else, then naturally it becomes not worth existing, and that's why we have all this fear and drama and everything. So the goal for everyone, right, is just to remember who you really are, right, and just be the best of who you are. And how do you find that? Through the reprogramming, remove all the values that not belong to you, like really trust yourself, bringing in the network of people that accept you to who you are, right? Like always, be your inner child, right? All this being, then by itself, when you can become that, how you interact with AI will be very different. How, when, and then if some of you become like in the tech company, and how you program the AI will become very different. How you use the AI, like, so everything. And AI itself then is just become another amazing tool, right, that continue help us to be who we are, right? And I think that's really it. So it's not like some grand vision about what projects and what we need to do, right? The biggest project is ourselves. Like, we are the canvas, make ourselves the masterpiece. And if all of us can become the masterpiece of ourselves, everything else will fall in place.
Beautiful. Well, Matt, I really appreciate you hopping on as a guest on this podcast. And Ryan, as usual, amazing conversation. And yeah, this is a really nice way to wrap up this 5th episode. And I really, enjoyed all of the
Yeah.
different insights and everything that we've covered until this point. And I can't wait to see, what's going to happen in the future. So catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and thank you, Bosco, for always creating this space, these amazing questions, right? And your love for your audience to bring this together, like create this conversation. So fully appreciate your work and your authenticity. And thank you, Matt, for being with us. Love you
Peace,
guys.
guys. Take care.
Peace
Thanks.
out.